Hey guys, ClintDarty.com, and of course, the House of Biceps. All right, guys, I'm here at the House of Biceps. Had a really great question, really multifaceted question that came in this week, and I wanted to go ahead and get it answered while the thought process was at least semi-fresh in my mind. All right, so I have a client that I've worked with for a couple of years. He works a fairly stressful job. He's been without giving away who he might be, a very successful strength athlete. And he's kind of at this point to where he's really just not for sure if he wants to continue competing again. Actually, he kind of has the thought process that maybe he really just enjoys training more than he loves competing. And he's not really for sure how that defines himself, what he wants to do, what he wants to be in his sports. You know, that really hits home with me. I've competed in a lot of different sports over my entire lifespan. And I began, my first love in any kind of athletic sports was martial arts. And I began in Taekwondo, and then I switched over to sport karate, sport martial arts. And that was just a spiral of nonstop love. Sport martial arts is kind of like, as far as the fighting side goes, it's the ultimate of kind of athleticism and speed and hit and don't get hit. I don't want to come out and say it's some sort of ultimate way of fighting. It's just a style of competition fighting that's a whole lot of fun. And when you go to these tournaments, and I really went to tournaments because I wanted to fight, they also had two other divisions. They had weapons and they had forms. And you could either do forms or you could do musical forms. So if I was already there, I might as well go ahead and compete in the other two divisions as well. So I worked hard to be good in those divisions. And to be honest, I was never, ever designed to be good at forms. So I went with musical forms. At least I could be creative and use music. And there were less people in musical forms, greater chance to make a higher placing. But I was never going to be great in forms anyway. Much taller than everybody else, much larger than everybody else, especially as a youth, as a kid. That's really just the way it was. Other kids were developing at different rates. But when it came to fighting, I had pretty freaking good speed, really good athleticism, and oh my gosh, do I have a reach with my arms and legs. And that really benefited me in fighting. So, but throughout my years, well, really the story that I want to tell is there are three guys that really kind of redefined the era of sport karate when it came to forms and musical forms during that time. You had Mike Chatteretta, you had John Valera, and you had Carmichael Simon. And those three guys were the people who really, they changed the sport. And, I've competed against all three of them, friends with all three of them. Mike Chatteretta, but still, I see him on TV. He's been working with the TV show Kung Fu. There's another TV show he's working on as well. I was watching the last John Wick movie months and months ago, and to get down to some of the final scenes, I'm like, God, that's John Valera right there. He choreographs a lot of movies and things like that. And Carmichael went on to develop some absolutely insane telecommunications software. But competing with those guys, I will say that I firmly believe that Carmichael Simon is the greatest of all time. And to back up that statement, and all of this is leading to something, to back up that statement, for anyone to be considered the greatest of all time, you cannot just be amazing at what you do or amazing at what you did. You cannot just be someone who has helped others and influenced, but you have to be someone who completely changed the sport. The sport has to have been one way before you, and then it has to be something completely different after you because exactly of what you did right there in the middle. And that is Carmichael Simon. That is what makes him the greatest of all time in sports martial arts, especially when it comes to the area of forms, musical forms. Now, Carmichael would always pull me aside at tournaments, and I would go to his house. He's in Annapolis, Maryland, the Washington, D.C. area, and I would go to his house once a year, stay several days, and we would train, have a great time. And then every tournament that we would go to, it was really, really phenomenal. He would always grab me like the day before a competition. You know, everybody's running around, and you're training a little bit, seeing who all's there. And he would always pull me over to, man, I'm working on this. Come here, check this out. You know, because he was always like in a back room somewhere the day before a competition, working on his techniques, getting a feel for the floor, getting a feel for the room, the environment, knocking out all the nerves, doing a lot of things that nobody else was doing. And he would set a time that he went out and do this. And I would catch up with him. And I remember him showing me moves and techniques and series and theory about things that I didn't understand at all. All I could see was looking at it and just say, holy cow, dude, that's insane. How did you do that? You know, and he never would explain to me exactly how it happened. He would always explain to me the theory behind it. And I never understood why he would understand the theory. I understand the reason why. He wanted to explain to me the theory and not the movement. The theory and not the technique. Now. And he and I have discussed that. But, we get to the Bluegrass Nationals one year. It would have been the last year that I competed. So 94, 95 maybe, sometime around there. And the first event of the day is weapons. And I don't know, there's 40-something people in our division. And remember, he's out of this world. Now, his weapons form was a soft-style weapons form with the broadsword. And he was the only soft-style martial artist in the entire division. And you could watch him, and it was just like where everybody else is big moves, hard moves, loud attacks, you know, really showman type stuff. His was nonstop, fluid, like water. It's like a shark cutting through water, killing samurais. I don't know. It was absolutely amazing with a stone cold face. And I went out and did my Bokata. It was the best I have ever competed. And he went out and he was Carmichael, and he was generally awesome. And after all that was over, they're calling out the winners, and I took fourth, which is the best ever in my life I ever took at a national tournament in weapons. I don't even remember who took third, but I remember first and second was Brian Ruth and Bernadette Ambrosia. So anytime you tell anyone you took fourth behind Brian and Bernadette, and it was your only tournament that you had done in a couple of years, it means the referees didn't know you to give you oh, this is Clint coming up here, to give you extra points or whatever. Fantastic. I was over the moon. Top 8 call out. They didn't call Carmichael's name. He didn't even make the top 8. Didn't even make the top 8. And here's the thing, I don't want to say anything bad about the judges, because the judges were also friends. But the judges did not understand what Carmichael was doing. They did not understand the difficulty level of what Carmichael was doing. He was doing a soft style form, basically in a hard style division, because there was no soft style division. And what he was doing was amazing, but it was not appreciated because there was no one there to appreciate how great it actually was. So they don't call his name, and as soon as that is over, we got to start getting ready for musical forms. And I remember Carmichael, man. I remember him, typical Carmichael. He wasn't angry. He wasn't intense. He wasn't upset. He was Carmichael focused. As soon as they didn't call his name, as soon as everyone bowed to the referees, as soon as the weapons division was over and he got nothing, he began walking off. And I don't mean he was upset. I mean, he was Carmichael focused. And if you know Carmichael, you know what I mean. He was focused, and he was going to get his gym bag and get his clothes on and get his headphones on, and he was starting to prepare for musicals. And I was going to compete against him in musicals. And I walked over, and I was upset for him. I mean, it's the greatest of all time, and he's my friend, and he got nothing, and I got fourth. How am I? And I went over and Carmichael, stop! So he just stopped and he turned around and looked at me with his straight Carmichael, not an angry face, his Carmichael face. You know what I mean? And I went to talk. I said, "Man, are you okay?" And he stopped and he said, "Clint, you were amazing today. That's the best I've ever seen you do. You're really turning a curve, and I can't wait to see where you keep going from here. I am so proud of you, Clint." And he meant it. He didn't just say it. He meant it. You could see it in his eyes. You could feel it in his voice. He meant it. From the greatest of all time, from a friend. And I stopped and I said, "Dude, but they didn't give you anything." And he said, "Yeah, I know. It hurts." And I said, "Man, I don't get it." Because here is someone that we're about to go to musical forms, and he's going to do not just a hard style form, but he's going to do something that is just so amazing, so another level over everybody else, that you're going to watch it and just your mind's going to explode. I said, "Man, you can do a hard style weapons form. I know you can. You can do a hard style form. You can take the weapons form, the broadsword weapons form that you're doing now, and you can make it into something the judges would like. And you could make what you are doing into something the judges would love, and they would score high, and you would win. Why don't you do that?" And without missing a beat, he looked at me and he said, "Clint, I would rather do what's inside of me and lose than to do what somebody else wants to see and win. And I firmly believe," he continued, "that if I continue doing what is inside of me long enough, that I will master what I am to the point that everyone will have to appreciate exactly what I'm doing. Glenn, I got to go get ready for musicals. I'm going to go tear it up." And guys, that's exactly what he did. He went over to musicals, and I have never seen so many moves in so short of a time in such a small ring in my life. And that was the point in which he began changing the sport by doing what was inside him. I never really understood what he was telling me back then until probably 10 years ago. And I'm here in the gym and I'm slowly realizing that I love competing in strongman. I love being there with my friends. I love seeing people, meeting people. I love the fact that I can have nothing in common with somebody else from a different section of the entire world except for this sport. Except for we squat, we deadlift, we log press, we load Atlas stones. We have the same bruises and bumps and scars. I love that. But the actual competing part, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea that somebody comes up with a series of tests and challenges, and we're going to train for it and see what we can do, and all travel there and lay it all out on the line and see what happens. But more than anything, I love this right here. I love me being me. More than anything, I have to let what I feel inside that I have to let that out, no matter what it is. And I'm not trying to impress a judge, but I think I've learned that the more that I try to impress a judge, the less happy that I am in my life. The more happy that I am just enjoying who I am and what I do, the happier the person that I am. So I don't know. I don't know if you should continue competing. I don't know if you should back away. But I do know that whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you're going to do what you want to do. Do what's inside. Whatever is inside your heart, whatever is inside your mind, let it out. We'll find a way. We'll make it happen. That's what I do as a job. I take things that you like to do and I make it coincide with whatever your goals are. And hey, you know what? Maybe if we're no longer top 3 at a big time strongman contest, maybe we're only top 10 or top 7 instead of top 3, but you are happy being who you are. Maybe we've won. Just maybe we've won. Anyway, guys, hope this makes sense. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Have a great one.